So starting with the pledge, yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, so we're just waiting on Joe, but we'll get going because we gotta get up the hill by 6:30. Ryan's gonna take notes for us, she volunteered. So we'll jump right into it. So Kevin, I think you're gonna review the tax base rates.
Yeah,
If you had, I think that got sent to everybody, right? You got there?
it did. But I would like, Mr. Chairman, to take just a second to, there's some allegations made about me. I'd like to address the committee. I think because it will reflect on the committee and you all should be aware of them. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Just remember Carolyn's down here, so.
I know, I'm saying there are no names in this.
Okay.
So the allegations have been made against me that I am withholding information, that allegations came from a member of this committee as well as a select board member. So I'm gonna clarify the facts so that everyone understands what I've been going through for this process. And I guess related to the tax rates. So 3 meetings ago, I volunteered to work on the tax rates. No one else stepped up and it was approved by the committee. 2 meetings ago, I reported that I had met with the business administrator at the SAU. And I developed a list of assumptions, and I brought those assumptions to this committee, and this committee approved those assumptions with some modifications. At our most recent meeting, I presented the preliminary numbers that I came up with. I also requested that 2 school board members who have expertise in this area be invited to join that meeting, and that committee approved that request. I was also asked by the committee to share the spreadsheets. So I agreed and made it clear that I would provide a view only of those spreadsheets. Just to prevent accidental changes, because if you ever worked with spreadsheets, it's really easy to screw something up and I have to go find it. And I didn't want to have to deal with that. So there were no objections and those files were shared within 24 hours. Following the meeting with the BA and the 2 school board members, I updated the spreadsheets and informed everyone here. Those spreadsheets have been updated. Everyone here on this committee has access to those spreadsheets. Later, I received a request from one of my accusers to meet privately and explain the spreadsheets. I agreed to do that. I was going to meet them on a Sunday to go through and spend as much time as necessary to go through that. However, once the allegations began circulating, I no longer felt comfortable doing that, and so I canceled the meeting. I also, in the meantime, have created 3 instructional videos, one that explains the spreadsheet in general, and 2 that explain the changes for the Walpole and Langdon withdrawal. So as I understand it, one of the primary complaints is that I declined to share editable spreadsheets with someone who intended to distribute them outside of the committee. Again, this is my understanding of it. This may not be my accuser's understanding. I didn't feel I had the authority to do that. I'm just a member of this committee, just like I'm a member of the school board, and I just can't share documents by anyone who asks me to share documents. There is a process to make that happen. And I also felt that my sharing was beyond my ability, but that was a choice of the committee, not of a committee member. Furthermore, we agreed as a group that there would be we had necessary expertise to deal with all of that. And I also believe that the Walpole committee also didn't bring anyone out from the outside. So there were as far as I know, no one outside this committee has access to those drafts of that document. So to summarize, I made everything available to every member on this committee, and to say that I withheld information, this committee is ludicrous. Also, if someone outside the committee would like to access our documents, they should hear, we're still part of the SAU. We still have SAU policies we have to follow. So if anyone wants those documents, they should request them from the SAU in writing, following the policy and procedures of the committee.
Understand that a request was made to the SAU. And they told us that you have to steal your spreadsheets.
We haven't discussed it, you never talked to me, so I don't have any idea. Yeah, that was,
We'll send you Deb's
okay,
message.
so, thank you for your time.
Good. Okay,
I'd like to thank you for all the work that you have done, because I know how much time and effort, and I watched the videos and I thought they were very helpful, so thank you.
Yeah.
I echo that.
Okay.
Yeah, you put a lot into this.
I can make them public if the committee decides to let them go public. I just need to there's something I showed that I should not have shown, but I need to redact. So I need to go back and make that little, just a tiny little, to blur out something. It's basically the out of district should not be shared with, as far as I understand, shouldn't be shared.
Makes sense.
and so I have one question for you, Steve. So Deb got back to you, Deb Livingston. So did she say Kevin can share them, and what did she tell you?
Doug just said that the documents were created by Kevin and they were up to him to release them.
I'll talk to Deb. Because
That's the message. Now, keep in mind, I'm a third party, right?
Yeah.
So
She didn't tell you that.
she didn't tell me that.
Who'd she tell that
To Carolyn.
Okay, so, yeah, we can follow up on
Yeah,
that.
that's cool. That's fine.
Anything else on that?
I don't mind sharing it. I just don't have the authority to do that. That's just it's my stance. I don't have, as a school board member and as a committee member, a plea, I have no authority to do that. So,
Okay. All right,
all right,
moving along then.
moving along then, can you share the screen that I have in front of me? So I sent this to all of you. This is kind of a follow-up to the conversation with the business administrator and the two school board members. And just wanted to go through those assumptions to make the change in the assumptions so that fighting over the mouse. Okay, so I sent this to this board, to the committee. Number one did not change. Number two did not change. Number three did change. Originally, I had said that it was going to take all the SAU costs, which is method one, and use the 50-50 apportionment formula. Someone brought up that might not be the best way. Because there are some shared costs and some non-shared costs. So we decided that for the shared SAU costs, again, this is all the costs, like the salary of the business administrator, the salary of the superintendent, all those kinds of things would still be part of the SAU cost and would be part of the 50-50 apportionment formula, which is the default formula divided by the state. Because the high school is no longer a town.
Can you just explain to me what you mean by the apportionment formula being 50-50?
Yes, 50-50 apportionment formula is 50% base, 50% on your the net assessment value and 50% on ADM.
Okay.
I have that, if you want to see it later, I have it kind of all laid out.
It's never been used in the district before.
The district
No,
can
but-
amend it, but if one town was to leave, that's the default.
That's the default, yeah. Yeah, well, you did show me. So method two through, number four change, which was the method, talking about method two will become direct expenses for the remaining towns. And I was originally going to just proportion them all based on, reapportion them proportionally. It turned out that that's probably not the best thing to do. So for method one, for the costs that were not deemed shared cost, which again were the all-in salary and benefits of the facilities director and the special ed director. Those all become part of method one, and they just are separate and they're done reapportioned proportionally. Method two in the affiliation agreement is basically the costs that are shared, the middle school sports cost, basically. And originally they were a third, Alsed, a third, attendance area, a third, Walpole attendance area, a third, Charlestown. And Jamie and Lori felt it'd be best to keep that same intent. So that once a town left, so if Langdon left, there would no longer be a third in Walpole. So the third of Alstead attendance area was broken up to a third at Langdon, a third Alstead, a third Ackworth. If Langdon left, it'd be better to say that's still, that third becomes a half of that third. And then if Walpole left, it would be done separately 50-50. So 50% Charlestown, 50% the Alstead attendance area, and the three towns left would divide that equally. If Langdon and Walpole both leave, it's 50% to Charlestown and 50% to Ackworth and Alstead. It's a really small number anyway. It's on our budget. It's a really small number, so it doesn't really make a huge difference. But that's one of the different. Instead of just being reapportioned proportionally, we went out with the intent of the original affiliation agreement. Any questions about method 2? All right. So method 3 is currently apportioned based on the current value of the buildings in the district. It's the replacement value, I believe. So basically, I took that information, which is in one of our budget books, and just put it in a spreadsheet and recalculated. Just took out for Langdon, I just took out the Sarah Porter and let the spreadsheet tell me how that would be pre-apportioned. For Walpole, I took out the 3 buildings for Walpole and let it recalculate, and for both, took them all out and let it recalculate, which seemed a much fairer way to do it because it stayed with the intent of the original agreement. Any questions about method 3? Okay, method 4 and method 5 were just reapportioned proportionally. Method 6 had a 1/3 of the apportionment stayed to the high school. So we kept that. It's still 33% of the high school, but the towns that remained were just reapportioned proportionally. Any questions about 4, 5, and 6? Okay. So I just kind of modified the language for number 6 to state that the facilities director and the special ed director would be from the shared amounts for method 1, which is the 50, no, sorry. Those are the will be excluded, right? So the shared amounts are the 50-50. Method 7, part 7 was just informational. Part 8, thanks. I'm not teaching, I'm not speaking much anymore. Part 8 did not change. Part 9 was informational. I added these because when we actually got some numbers. So for method 4, only when Walpole is withdrawing, we deducted the cost of 4 bus drivers, which is about $50,000 per bus driver, and $182,000 for diesel savings. So that comes out of the method 4 total budget. And I just added a formula that said just subtract that if Walpole is leaving. Any questions about method 4?
The underlying numbers behind this is great, by the way. I think this is fantastic group of assumptions. It would be nice to know what the source of the numbers are.
That was from the meeting of with Lori and.
Right, I understand the meeting, but where did they come from?
Okay. Yeah, I can tell you, well, the bus driver thing is pretty straightforward, right? That's the cost of their salary all in for a bus.
Yeah, it would be nice, like in this document,
Yeah.
just put a reference document, so
Sure.
that you could say it came from the 24-25 budget, or it came from the annual report.
Yeah,
Or it came from somewhere, so
and
that,
the 182,000 actually came from, I think, actual numbers that they actually use, actually track.
Yeah.
Mileage, so they took a mileage of.
yeah, I think, I don't think there's any going on here, right? I think it'd be just nice for people that are outside this committee that want to look at this information to assist the committee in some way. Is just to have a reference at each one of the assumptions as to where it came from. That would help explain.
Well, things
Hi,
are coming from.
Kevin. I sent you a document at around 5:20 this afternoon that has pretty much what Steve was asking for with the bus,
Okay,
the transportation costs.
great. Well, hopefully we can get that out of the record.
Yeah.
For method 5, this is the technology cost. And there's a deduction of $42,000 for basically licenses and additional student laptop. Any questions about 5? Okay, for method 6,
Can I just ask one
Yeah.
thing? So when, what we're looking at here is what the SAU would contain, what
remaining town.
what the remaining towns would.
Okay.
So Walpole would need to, in this instance, Walpole would need to make sure that that was in their budget.
Right. And they'll have other budget numbers, probably, their bus numbers probably be higher than that, because they're gonna pay for buses and all other kinds of other stuff too.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but these numbers need to be in Walpole's budget somehow.
Yeah.
We originally determined for method 6 that because of FERPA requirements that we were not going to deduct out of district placements. We were actually provided with those numbers, so, for method 6, it did deduct the out of district, expenses from the calculation to give the remaining towns a better, picture of what they would do. If we did not do that, it would just overstate the millage rate. Like, it's not a small number.
Mhm.
So are we okay with method 6? Okay. Method number 11, is the same. We didn't change that at all. So I gave you all copies of the changes. Did I open up? I don't think I did. Close that. Wanted to go through quickly how that affects the summary. Come on. Okay. So again, those are the base rates, the 1351, 1434, 2243, 1697, So if Langdon left, again, we're looking at higher millage rates and this is, Langdon left and did not tuition their students back into the district. We're looking at Ackworth going up, Alston going up, Charlestown going up, and Walpole staying the same. I did get a question from someone, why did Walpole stay the same? So I went back to the spreadsheets and expanded and took out the rounding and said, did it change at all? And it did change by like a few thousandths of a cent. I believe just because Walpole's valuation is so high. Their equalized valuation is so high and their ADM is lower than Charlestown. Just wasn't big enough change with Langdon leaving to make a change in Walpole's millage rate.
Thank you for looking at that.
Okay, yeah. I was surprised. I questioned it too, the minute I saw it. I'm like,
I was like,
how did that not change? But it
Right.
changed by thousandths of a cent. If Langdon does leave, only Ackworth would wind up paying, sorry, if Langdon did leave and did tuition their students back in, only Ackworth would pay more, and again, that's because Ackworth is picking up half of the shared cost of like the principal and guidance and the nurse and all those expenses. And actually, because Langdon's tuitioning their students in, it actually makes everyone else's go down because the tuition rate for the high school and this does, the yes tuition is just tuitioning if Sarah Porter stayed open. we actually saved more money if Sarah Porter closed, but couldn't have 15 different versions of this, so I chose the one that Sarah Porter staying open. With Walpole leaving, everybody's goes up. And then if they tuition them back in, it doesn't change dramatically.
So the impact in Charlestown going to 28 to 23 is only the effect of the tuition.
Yes. And that's tuitioning just to the high school for Walpole, not much other tuition, so it's 140 some odd students.
It's lost, yeah.
At the rate that the school board set.
Yeah.
And then both leaving, if they are not tuitioning, but the millage rates are astronomical. But if they do tuition, it's not as bad. And in the Langdon report, which I think I shared with you, the Langdon draft report with everyone as well. I go through a long preamble saying those are scary numbers, but that's not real life. If Langdon, if Walpole left, the school board would have to look at restructuring what's remaining, and would probably have to make some very hard decisions about what they would be doing. So that 3188 is again, we're just basing it on what we have and getting our crystal ball out as much as we can. But we cannot predict what changes that the district would actually make. So we're just gonna go with what we have.
Or what a withdrawing town would do.
What?
We don't know what a withdrawing town would do
Right,
either.
right. We don't know whether they're downtown.
Cool. Questions?
Can you go back to the top one?
Yeah.
For a second. One, two, one.
And a hard copy if you want to take a picture of it.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to see what the. Okay.
And you did share this updated one with us, is that correct? I think I
I think
remember,
I've shared this one.
Yeah, it's on the draft.
I seem to remember seeing it, yeah,
Yeah, it was, I guess, in an email.
I think so, yeah.
Alright.
Kevin, are your numbers for Langdon pretty much done? Like your budget and
Yes,
your report?
in the report.
That's great.
We're pretty much.
So what does the board predict the tuition rate's going to be?
In 2027, we prepared $24,440.
24, 540.
440, 24,440. And that's basically the cost of the high school tuition. Yeah, high school cost per student right now in high school, basically, and inflate and increased by 3% over the next 2 years. Is for inflation.
Yeah.
And well, look, not
Somebody's crystal ball has to be as good as somebody else's, so. Somebody's crystal ball has to be.
right. Well,
As good as somebody else's.
It's kind of our CBA, kind of stuck with like what are the CBA increases every year that we've been trying to keep, budget to within those numbers.
Right.
So that kind of that 3% seemed like a number that would work.
Does that take into consideration the tuition rate for students with special ed needs?
No, we didn't break that out special.
Right.
So it might actually go up.
I think that's gonna be higher, yeah.
Do we know, like, does we tuition Leominster a lot? A lot of students come from Leominster. Do we know what we charge Leominster for tuition?
We're gonna have all the same tuition agreements.
Everyone will have the same.
Everyone
tuition
will have the
plan.
same 24, 440. Okay.
That's my understanding.
And there's a tuition agreement, there's an amount for regular ed students, and then there's an amount for special ed students, and that that has specific
Yeah,
areas in it.
I know,
But
especially
the school board has not set that
rates yet.
has not set those rates yet.
Yeah,
I think there will be a rate difference between town, this is just me speaking, if I had to do it. There's a rate difference between when we just tuition in students to fill in extra seats. So if you've got a class of 15 and you bring in 5 students, you didn't add any teachers, you didn't do anything, you just created revenue. However, if you bring in 150 students, you're adding teachers, you're adding staff, you're adding guidance, you're adding, we're adding all these other things. So that rate is probably gonna be higher than just the filling in seats rate.
that's the same reason why SAU29 wants all or nothing. Or how do you predict from year to year,
Right. A great question, thanks for asking.
Good.
I'm good, unless anyone has any questions. So I think I'm gonna wait to actually vote on this until our next meeting, when we have a
Yeah, we
a
want
Walpole contingent here to actually agree to this, so I'm not gonna ask for a motion at this point.
What would you expect Walpole to agree to?
But basically the assumptions that we made is basically what we're agreeing to, and the numbers from the spreadsheet.
Because when we look at this. When Walpole creates what they think would be the budget for them as a standalone thing, we might not use those assumptions.
Those assumptions have nothing to do with Walpole's budget, they are just for the remaining towns.
Okay,
It's just the assumptions about.
the impact on the other towns.
Other towns, right, this has nothing to do with Walpole.
Walpole, so this, I shouldn't speak for the Walpole subcommittee, but you guys are putting a budget together like we did, right? So.
Yeah,
I mean,
we haven't,
nobody's gonna know until if Walpole leaves and they form their own district,
haven't
what
seen
they're gonna put where, but
Yeah,
basically, if
right.
you leave, it's gonna be kind of.
There's nothing to say that we
We're
would
not-
hire our own special ed director
yeah,
or
we're not sure.
something like that.
Yeah, well, that's part of, one of the wild cards is
Well,
not only what the school board does, but what
what
a withdrawing town
towns
does.
are gonna
Yeah,
do.
well, you are gonna need to hire your own special ed director.
Well, or we may hire a different superintendent. We may hire a part-time superintendent instead of buying the services from
Well,
us.
no, because for that, you're not withdrawing from the SAU.
I don't know that yet.
Well, that's what we've been told, is that
Is that
there's
what you've been
no,
told? Okay,
Right.
that's what you've been told. I don't know that as,
the
I'm
assumption,
just filling in, so I'm asking questions.
what we're moving forward with in terms of the withdrawal study is that Walpole is not looking at withdrawing from the
Okay.
SAU. So you would be sharing superintendent costs and,
I think in the first year,
Business
you can't leave the SAU anyway, in the first year.
Yeah, it's a separate RS.
it's a separate thing.
Yeah, it becomes separate, it becomes a separate warrant article, and things like that, yeah, okay.
But as far as like a Walpole budget.
We haven't seen
Nobody,
We
I
haven't
don't
seen
believe
any-
anybody sitting at this table has seen any numbers created by anybody in Walpole.
And that's going to have to include, it's gonna have to include curriculum, it's gonna have to include, there's a lot of things on there
Yep.
that are going to need to be in there, so. Because the curriculum is owned by the SAU, it's not.
So are you,
You'll need, that people will need to, sorry,
I know, I didn't mean to cut you.
I kind of just added on some more.
And one reason so just the next thing on here is committee update. So are you all set with that, Kevin?
I'm all set with that.
So on the Walpole update then, I guess one question is, are you guys doing any kind of so you're not doing any kind of forum budget for Walpole or anything?
We
To
don't-
say,
We don't know what Carolyn has.
okay, so, we, as a group, mostly Kevin, has been putting together Langdon's budget, which is way easier than Walpole. I mean, Walpole is, Langdon's little. So,
I think the only thing we have seen is what Joe provided from transportation and what Carolyn and I got about special ed. But we
Okay.
haven't seen the rest of the budget
okay,
as a committee. The subcommittee.
okay, yeah. So any updates from that subcommittee? I keep looking over there. Nancy, any updates from that subcommittee?
No, they've done nothing.
Okay.
Is Steve a fill-in or are you a
I'm just a bookmark.
Yeah.
tonight. To make that clear, I'm just a bookmark up tonight.
For now.
I'm on the withdrawal, on the budget committee, so I feel this is a conflict of interest for me.
Yeah,
It's one way to look at it.
I think there was a way of getting out of it.
Hold on one second, Joe. Did you have something else?
We have a draft of a withdrawal, of the withdrawal study, but it's basically what Kevin gave us. With some changes to it, and that's still definitely in total draft form, and we have not gone over that as a committee at all. We've gone over it as a Google Doc with people putting their comments in and stuff, but not gone over it as a committee, so.
Do you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, the concern from Walpole was the ability to download the budget information so that the budget could be created for Walpole. So, not having a version to be able to download, and I understand in sheets, you don't want people messing up your stuff, there's audit function, but if you allow somebody the ability to download the spreadsheet, they can take it offline and make whatever changes they feel are necessary. So I think just in deference to the Walpole committee, I think the inability to, the not wanting to recreate the whole budget, but wanting to be able to take a version, download it and work with the numbers and make a presentation, I don't think that they've had that opportunity. So.
Well,
Just to
Kevin
be
was
clear.
able to do it, I'm not sure.
Just to be clear, those spreadsheets that I do are not a budget. They are apportionment, they're a budget, they're spreadsheets to apportion out the budget numbers. The
So
budget,
I think
I have the
there's a
floor. I have the
misunderstanding. I think
floor.
there's a
I
misunderstanding.
have the floor. The budget numbers would come from the business administrator. The full budget, if you want this current budget as a spreadsheet, that needs to come from the business administrator.
So I think that was just a misunderstanding then, what I'm hearing is corrected. My understanding was that request was made of you, and what you're saying, and I appreciate that, is that that committee needs to make their own request of the BA and leave you completely out of their process. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, because
Okay.
again, the apportionment spreadsheets use numbers from the budget. And they-
25.
I can tell you, right, that's the apportionment, because you made them. The apportionment spreadsheets do not include, they include the budget, but as rolled up numbers. So like, just general instruction would be, $4 million, not every teacher and everything that went through them. So,
It's like 25, 26 budget. When you talk about
we're using the 20,
No, I think
425. 425.
Those are.
24, 25 budget, okay.
In all fairness, I don't believe that was the case in the Charlestown withdrawal. The Charlestown withdrawal built their budget from ground up. They didn't just take a budget and then subtract numbers or add numbers or this or that. And that's actually what we've asked our principals to do every year now.
Yep.
For the last 2 years is we want
Start
a
with a zero budget.
zero-based budget. And that's how you should build a budget, is a zero-based budget. We shouldn't be starting budgets off with, well, this is what we currently have, and if we subtract this and that. As being on the Walpole subcommittee, I would like to do a zero base budget, and that's what we have been doing, and that's what we should be doing. So I'm not really sure. I think it might have been the Walpole representative that was asking Kevin for whatever. I don't even know. I wasn't part of that conversation, but as a Walpole committee member, I would like to do a zero base budget, and I'm going to assume that Langdon, when they create theirs, is a very similar process. How many teachers do you need? About, what might the salary be?
so
Yeah.
our process is like, we went out, we found 3 like towns, we took Goshen's budget, we took Washington's budget. in Croydon's budget. And used that basically to make sure we weren't missing any lines. And then went through that line by line by line and added numbers to those. I suggested that in the previous meeting, that's what the Walpole committee should do. They should go look for. I think like Westmoreland would be a comparable town. that kind of-
Chesterfield's almost identical.
Chesterfield, well, Westmoreland's identical too. They have K-8.
Yep.
They have K-8, and they send all the rest of their kids to Keene. Right, so there are a number of those kind of towns around. Get those budgets. They're public documents. I found out I didn't have to call anybody, well, except for you. I found them on websites. And that's how I made sure I wasn't missing any big categories from that budget.
And that is a form of a zero base, but I think you also need to back out or try and figure out what the SAU is paying if you want to compare. What would it look like for Walpole to stay and go? So if you're creating a budget, you're right, do a zero based budget, but I think you still need these numbers that Kevin's put together.
I'm not saying that, I'm just.
But you know-
Cheryl had mentioned that she wanted a copy of the budget in order for the subcommittee to begin the budget process, and what I'm saying is like. With 3 school board members on here and us really trying to focus in on zero, starting at 0 and building a budget that way. Which I think we found very beneficial in our budget process. Probably wish we had done it years ago, but. That's all I was referencing. Yeah, you have to take the SAU costs out and things like that.
Cool, so Langdon update, we have our informational meeting tonight, 25 minutes. Hopefully that'll be quick, because I'm gonna sleep in. So we have what, Kevin, the budget together for the most part. The purpose of tonight, we called it a public hearing, but there's no need to have a public hearing, it's not really, it's more of like it's more of a way to see if anybody shows up, to see if they have questions that aren't answered already. That's what we're looking for, so by the time we get to, voters debating this and all that, that they've had some chance to put it, input. What about this or that or whatever, but. That's our update. We don't have any, do you guys, this Walpole subcommittee have any more meetings scheduled?
I think we do.
We don't at the moment, but.
Sure.
Actually, no.
No, so.
Yeah, the last one, we were supposed to have that canceled.
Okay.
Yeah, so that has to be rescheduled.
Yep. Hasn't
So anything else from the Walpole subcommittee?
think so.
Just remind the committee, I think we're at the point, we probably need permission from the committee to maybe include our most current draft on the part of the meeting minutes, so that people can access it. Part of the committee. If the committee's okay, if this committee's okay with that.
Fine with that.
Yeah, your subcommittee,
Yeah, just the language, you just want the most.
Just most under another Langdon withdrawal.
You want a motion for that?
I think it would be good to have. I'll make a motion. I make a motion to make public draft of the Langdon withdrawal study.
Most recent draft.
Most recent.
minus the special ed confidential.
I don't think there's anything confidential in it there.
Not the videos, our draft report.
Right, no, you said earlier that you need to
That's in the
redact.
video. That's in the video.
That's in these videos.
That's in the video.
These.
I second.
Discussion?
I just make one suggestion, make sure the document is marked draft.
It is.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Nays? Okay. All right,
Get Joe.
what's that?
Did you hear Joe's position?
I thought he said aye, but Joe, did you vote in the affirmative? Okay. All right, so the next thing on our agenda, Kevin had raised, maybe looking into this August, looking into the actual charge of the committee and when, these things have been debated in the past, the statute was different.
I've got it.
So did everybody have a chance to look at that?
Yeah.
What Kevin sent around? So I think the purpose of this isn't to make any kind of a decision, right? Just to kind of get out there that it's not. Our vote, when we take our vote, isn't just, is it feasible, but it goes a little bit further now. So, just something to keep in mind, and that is good, we got that opinion from the lawyer, so. So take a look at it with that in mind, and, I don't know, anybody want to discuss it now, or?
No, I would like a copy given to all committee members when we get to that point, so we can refresh it in our minds. Because there is a section in there where it said something might be feasible, but it might not be suitable, in which then you wouldn't recommend. So there is some language in there that I think we will have discussions when it comes time to vote. So I think having that printed out for people to have right with them
So
would be
it's
beneficial.
It's good, okay, it's also on the shared drive, in terms of it's, you have to drill down to get to it, it's under information request, and then request the actual information, it's in there. I think I emailed this.
You did.
Okay, on it.
I just think sometimes printing is good
Yeah, printing is good, and I get it.
for those that might have trouble printing.
I think it's a good thing to raise.
It also makes the decision harder. Because when the decision back when Charlestown left was it's infeasible or not, that's an easy bar to reach. Is it suitable? Or is it feasible and suitable? It's a different bar. Which is a harder decision to make. I think I would like at our next meeting to start debating this, because I think I have some feelings about it. And I'd like to start that conversation.
When's our next meeting?
September, September.
October, I was like a whole month off.
I think I personally feel we have enough information now. I have enough information now to make a suitable or,
A suitable recommendation about suitability.
or feasibility, yeah.
So we would be looking at September 8th, right, second Monday?
Yeah.
So September 8th, I'm gonna put this on the agenda, right?
When is, and I know you guys gotta head out, so my only other question would be is, when does this all need to be completed again by? Once again,
Yeah, I think we have to submit our finding by October.
I think we can have a reasonable discussion at our next meeting regarding recommending and not recommending. If we have to be done by October 11th, and
Better be.
Yeah, then we have to have our recommendation to the state.
Well, I think based on the RSA, if this group is not recommended. I think we just tell the state we did not recommend.
I think
And then it's
just tell the school board.
Yeah, basically just tell the school. And then there are a minority who thinks it is recommended, they can write a report to the school.
so we will put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
I think that's probably gonna be most of the next meeting.
I would like to,
Figuring that
because
out.
I think-
And it's kind of where the rubber meets the road and what we're doing here, so I think we'll set some time aside and. I won't let the Langton subcommittee talk me into another time constraint. I think you have voted on. But, yeah, I think that's what we'll do for most of the next meeting. So next steps, I guess you guys don't, the Walpole SCU, I should say. Walpole subcommittee does have or does not have a meeting.
We don't have a
scheduled.
meeting scheduled. We missed our last meeting. It was
Okay.
canceled. But, it has not been rescheduled, so it needs to be.
Good. And we have our thing tonight, but then we gotta figure out if we're gonna meet again or not. So.
We have a lot of work.
So. That's the agenda. Anything else? Anybody wanna add anything?
With that being said, I'd make a motion to adjourn at 6:12 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Joe? Yep, got him. All right.